This is 7 National News. Here are the headlines. Ruler of Dubai gives go-ahead to three-phase development for rural areas in the UAE. Agreement signed for reduction in prices of 565 different medicinal drugs. And floodwaters ebb in North Dakota, but fears of damage still remain. And in our top story, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, has given the go-ahead to a three-phase development programme for remote areas in the UAE. The announcement came during a visit to the Ministry of Public Works, where he was presented with various projects that are currently being carried out by the Ministry for Federal Bodies and Ministries. The ruler of Dubai called for the active involvement by citizens and stakeholders in the federal and local governments for developments in rural areas. He stressed that the areas must see comprehensive infrastructure that will transform the areas into city centres for future generations. The foundations must cover essential services such as healthcare, education, housing and roads. Additionally, he stated that future generations must be able to benefit from what the country can give today. Additionally, under the directives of the ruler of Dubai, the top 20 national students in higher secondary exams will be awarded scholarships to the universities of their choice. The order came after the ruler visited the Education Ministry, during which he was handed a list of the top 10 high school students. The reduction in prices for 565 different medicinal drugs in the UAE will take effect from the 1st of July of this year. The Ministry of Health signed an agreement today with 20 international pharmaceutical companies operating in the country. According to officials, the initiative aims to provide residents better access to quality healthcare and medication to ensure the public's well-being.
The ministerial decree signed today by the UAE Ministry of Health follows its announcement of between 5 to 60% reduction on the prices of medicines. 565 drugs in total are included in this scheme that will take effect in the beginning of July.
The reduction in prices ranges between 5 to 60%, which is a great thing in comparison to other countries in the region. We do encourage, of course, the private sector, to be part of this negotiation. We haven't enforced this decision on them, but this was sort of an outcome of negotiations and discussions at the past few weeks. And I'm really I do appreciate, of course, the kind of support and the kind of response we got from the private sector and from pharmaceutical agencies in the UAE.
According to the Ministry of Health, the retail cost of 67 medicines for chronic diseases such as diabetes and hypertension will be brought down during the first phase, while further reductions will follow in September for the rest of the 498 drugs.
Once the prices will come down, then the chance is better for the people to buy those medicines and not to go to the counterfeit medicine. And also we will close the door on the people who goes and introduce the counterfeit medicine to the people, that because this is cheap, but now there is all the medicines are cheap, and therefore it won't be any sort of chance to the counterfeit. But again, counterfeit medicine is being fighted by us and by the customs and by the international pharmaceutical companies, and we are trying to do our best that not to have a counterfeit medicine in United Arab Emirates.
The UAE Ministry of Health says they are continuing their efforts in ensuring that residents receive the best in healthcare facilities, services and products, while striving to offer the most affordable, high-quality medicines in the region. Khadija Sali, 7 National News.
At the same event, Novartis launched Gilenya, the first oral medication for multiple sclerosis, also known as MS, an autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system. MS affects 25 to 50 people out of every 100,000 in the Arab populations. According to officials, the UAE is the third country in the world to approve the drug after the USA and Russia. With an estimated number of 1,000 MS patients in the country, this breakthrough will hugely benefit patients, as the costs involved in treatment can often be too expensive for many.
This is another step, of course, where we really provide, this kind of facility to the patients who suffer. I think, the price which they are looking for is very reasonable and will be available to the people.
Gilenya is the first oral treatment available in the Middle East and in the UAE. It's been the third product, the third country, UAE, after US and Russia, where it was registered, and it offers superior efficacy versus the current treatment, disease-modifying treatments, with a relapse reduction of 52% and relapses within the next 2 years reduction of 70%.
All children under 135 centimetres or those that weigh less than 36 kilograms must wear seatbelts, and children under 1 must be seated in a car seat under the new UAE law that has been passed by the Ministry of Interior's High Committee for Child Protection. Nasser Al-Nuaimi, the Secretary-General for the Deputy Prime Minister's Office and the Ministry of Interior, made the announcement, adding that those between 6 and 9 months or those under 10 kilograms must face the rear of the car. Al-Nuaimi called for the same laws passed in the UK, where weight and height is a key factor. He reminded parents that they should change their car seats to new ones under laws that were introduced back in 2007. With rising temperatures and summer fatigue in Dubai, the need to ensure passenger and vehicle safety on the roads is paramount. In addition to the ongoing campaign by the Road and Transport Authority on safety measures, companies are also preparing consumers for a safe and sustainable living. The Middle East and Africa office of Bridgestone revealed today the Eco-Pier tyre as the first ever eco-tyre in the region. Originally released in Japan 20 years ago and in the US in 2010, other countries such as China and Europe have recently followed suit. With silica compounds rather than carbon, Eco-Pier is capable of improving fuel efficiency by 3.1% in comparison to standard tyres, according to the experts. The new tyre is expected to arrive in the MENA market in the third quarter of this year.
As a beginning, we would like to focus on those people who are pretty much eco-conscious in this region. And there is a certain segment for this eco-conscious segment. But gradually that we know that, especially in UAE, that they have this, they are quite interested in going towards eco. And we would like to, in the future, we would like to work with UAE government basically to, together with private and government sector to tackle on these eco issues.
And looking to news abroad now, the flooded city of Minot, North Dakota, got some respite after the Surrey River began to gradually ebb on Sunday after rising to record-breaking levels earlier in the day. Officials expect the water levels to remain high for some days, making it unsafe for displaced residents to return to their homes. Overnight storms combined with early summer snowmelts did not bring water levels over levees, much to the relief of officials battling to keep areas dry. The Surrey, which flows from Canada southeast into North Dakota, rose early on Sunday morning to almost 4 feet, above the 130-year-old record it shattered on Friday, according to the National Weather Service. There have been no reported deaths or injuries in the biggest flood in the area's history, but floodwaters have all but swallowed more than 3,000 homes and displaced more than 12,000 Minot area residents. And farmers in the Rota town of India's northern state rejoiced with the onset of the monsoon in the region as it will boost their crop production. The farmers mostly await rainfall as sowing paddy crops need a lot of water. The rainfall also provides relief for farmers off the back of the recent increase in diesel prices that is used for farming machinery for irrigation. The monsoon has not only brought good news for farmers, but also for labourers working in the fields as their workloads have increased. And up next, we've got the day's business news, so stay with us.